All right. So once again, welcome Folake on this platform. Like I said earlier, my name is Felicity. I'm the group leader, She Leads Africa, and I will be your interviewer for today. So thank you for joining me. You can just take a
Thank,
moment to introduce yourself as well, your business, what you do, and any other thing that you think the audience would be interested in.
thank you for having me. My name is Folake Kofo-Idowu. I am a medical doctor, an infectious diseases specialist by training. My company is Iyewo, and we provide community-based primary care for people in the informal sector.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much once again for joining me on this platform. And just a brief introduction of what this is. This is the SLA Ambition Report, also called the docu-series. Now, this platform basically is something SLA created to be able to tell the stories of young founders, African women, of course, and in turn be able to encourage aspiring founders as well, women that have business ideas or maybe even started their businesses but are struggling because they think they are experiencing struggles or hardship in running their businesses. This is a platform for us to share stories of successful women in this space for them to know they are not alone. There are other people doing this and they can also succeed in this space. So for the Obtained time. Welcome once again to this platform. And I'm just going to dive right into the questions, right? And the first question that I have on my list is, what personal experience for you first opened your eyes to the healthcare gaps that your company now, solves? What led to you starting the brand overall?
I think the first big gap was my mom's a personal experience, my mom's illness, where when we discovered she had certain complications, and at the time that we discovered the complications, I was now in medical school. And
Mhm.
so in tracing back what happened, I realized the inciting incident was something that happened in my childhood, but because we don't have a strong follow-up system and she did not get continuous care. Nobody was monitoring her after she had this really severe illness where she was unconscious, and it affected her kidneys. And she just went years and a decade plus, with this kidney problem that was causing her hypertension, and the hypertension was worsening the kidney. So it was like they were both punching each other till
Mhm.
things now came to a grinding halt. And so I think that was really the first part that opened my eyes to, like, oh my God, people are really falling through the cracks, and big bad things are happening to them because of something that could have been prevented for cheaper, easier, earlier.
Okay, that's a bit touching. And I'm sorry to hear about the struggles with your mom, and I hope she's doing a lot better now. I hope that was not, I'm so sorry. Did you hear my question?
No, it's okay. I did.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay. I think I
Today's
can
meant to be her
understand.
birthday. Mom is late now, but today incidentally is meant to be her birthday.
Oh,
But
I'm so
it's
sorry about that. And I'm sorry for bringing up memories that you probably,
okay. I mean, I mentioned it. I could have skipped it.
thank you very much for understanding. Okay, so moving on, right? This question is basically about the leak, majorly. Find this the incident that brought about the you starting the business. But what would you say is the boldest or scariest decision that you had to make when you started your business, Iyewo?
I've recently relocated to Nigeria, from the US,
Oh,
and
okay.
just, changed a lot of things in my life. So
Mhm.
that For me, it wasn't as scary, but for a lot of other people around me, it's very big for them, and people worried about me, blah, blah. But I think for me would have been the earlier parts of the business, which was making decision to start a clinic in a market people, in a market rather, for market people. I think that was a big, scary decision because again, it was something that required a lot of capital investment that I had to do on my own, with
Mhm.
some family and friends contribution, but it was mostly over 90% on my own. And had to figure out a way to manage it, get it running, check on things, all of that. So I think that was one big, I'm not sure, but I felt like I needed to do it, and I went ahead and, yeah.
Okay. So, referencing what you mentioned about recently relocating to Nigeria, I initially thought the business started from, Nigeria and you're serving communities within Nigeria. And given the name, right, it has the African feel to the name. So I thought it was a business already existing in Nigeria. So are you saying that you started initially in the US? And was it something that you were doing virtually for Nigerian audience or Nigerian community? Or what was it like while you were in the US and then moving down to Nigeria? How did you operate overall?
So it was, I was over there. I had done medical outreach and things. For me, I had a way I thought things should be done and could be done better than what I was seeing. And so after I did the first medical outreach in the market, for me, it was now like, okay, so these people are positive for hypertension and diabetes. You've given them like a month's worth of medication, and then what? What happens to them? And there were people who had showed up who they already knew that they were hypertensive, but they weren't doing anything. So it really it went back to my knowledge that there's a gap in continuous care and following people up. And so I created a community monitoring program, hired Lutz locally, trained them to check blood pressure, trained them to check blood sugars. And we divided this client over them. It was a free thing and it lasted for 3 years. It would go every day or every other day to check on them, make sure they were using their medications. And it was from there that we saw that it worked. Yes, people are busy, but habits die hard when you're used to doing something a certain way. You have to create, many of them don't understand the psychography of, you have to actively create a new pathway to develop a new habit or to get rid of an old one. And so us having someone going every day to somebody's shop or store to say, have you taken your medicine today? They check the blood pressure. Is it a yay or nay? Are you taking it now in front of me? Let me see. And I come back and show you how that medicine changed it from high to normal, right? And so
Mhm.
that helped and really helped in changing the behavior. And in business, if behavioral change is involved, is necessary for what you're selling, it's a big hump. But at least we learned a lesson there that personal touch, and that's just someone kind of almost bugging you. It works, and over 60% of them graduated to being self-sufficient, which is the important part, where you didn't have to remind them every day. Somebody could just go once a week, and you find out like, yeah, oh yeah, I use it. Oh, so look at my thing, and the thing is actually wilting down. So we did that, and it was from there that we were able to make a business case, right, to now start the business. Of course, all of this, I was still in the US when I was setting up the clinic. When the US, again, the community people, use an advice I'll give to people. Customers will tell you, we want. Yeah, are they going to pay for it? Because we set up the clinic and now you're trying to force them to come and all of that. But that's another story. But, just from the outreach, the community monitoring, Then you set up the clinic, and then we start iterating till we got to the point of let us create a market health product, which is what we have launched in July, and we're really pushing. And also another product for MSMEs who are not physically trading in the market, and home health also.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So, concerning challenges, in starting your business, what struggles or obstacles did you face, especially in the raising of funds, or maybe you doing this when you had other competitors? I'm assuming you had major competitors as well that you had to, be mindful of before you started. Basically challenges that you had to face, overcome, and navigate, bringing you to this particular space or phase where you are at the moment.
Challenges would in different spheres. One would be our work is community-based. And so having cultural sensitivity and understanding enough to help you gain the trust of the community gatekeepers and the community itself, get their buy-in and their participation. I think that is one big thing. I mentioned that we launched a market health product. We first started in Lagos Island, and it took us a long time just trying to iterate, getting a product market fit. And we thought it was our method, but in a way it was our method, but it was really, the market had its own peculiarity. And by the time we realized it, a lot of time had gone. And so it was understanding the subculture of each market to know what marketing strategy or go-to-market strategy works for each area. They're all communities, but they all have different variations to them, what works and what doesn't work. So that has been a huge challenge, because sometimes the leaders, they see it, maybe they are, a bit more elevated in their thinking to understand the benefits, but you have hundreds and thousands of individual people who are literally struggling for their daily 2K. And you have to convince them. There are markets where once the market head says, hey, everybody turn right, everybody's turning right, whether you like it or not. And there are markets where they will just be like, who do you think you are? Whatever. And they turn and they just continue doing what they're doing. And there are those that will be like, well, they told us to turn right, but I'm a little busy right now. And you still have to encourage them. So that financing, funding obviously has been, because for mass market products, you really need to go hard, you need to go heavy, and we don't have the funds to do that. And even if I decide to commit my personal huge amount of funds, it's a huge risk. It's a bigger risk for me, because if he fails, I would have put a lot of money. Of course, the bigger the risk, the bigger the gain. If it works, then yay. But if it doesn't, then I'm the only one bearing that risk. And so we're just like, okay, let's do it small and see where it takes us and see what works. And that's what we're doing, especially because one method doesn't work everywhere. So you can't just say, oh yeah, big money, take one method and run with it. You have to look at each one and modify to each one. So I feel like it's that also is human resource is a big challenge. Finding employable people with capacity. Like a friend of mine said, knowledge can be acquired, skills can also be acquired. But character, willingness to work, dedication is it's not something that can be taught. It's something that you have to have it, or you have to decide to cultivate it. So you can choose to train someone all you want, but if they don't want to learn, there's nothing anybody can do about it. And there's just a shift in the culture of willingness to work and willingness to do the hard things. And it's the hard things that solve the hard problems, right? And it's when you solve the hard problems that life will be solved for everyone. All of us are here today making bank transfers because somebody decided to sit with it and said, Nigerian banking industry is going to be digital, right? We're going to be interconnected. We're going to make it faster. It was really, really hard. But all today, nobody writes a check, right, and takes it to the bank. Nobody's talking bank drafts. Those who live through it, the difference. And so that's it. The work of innovation is hard. And unfortunately, it feels like in the climb that we're in, the burden of getting things done is just on the innovators. And many innovators are not necessarily the builders. At least I know of my personal self. Yes, I can build, but it's a lot more and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so I would say, yeah, community, engagement, financing, and human capital has been the big thing. And I guess another one would be government regulation in a way, being able to work with government for different things. For our health regulation part, we haven't had issues. They've been open, blah, blah. Even though, yeah, it's a little difficult moving things forward. You have to go in person, even though there's an online portal. But for the financial part of what we're trying to do, I feel like Nigerian, as great as they have done over like 20, 30 years, or maybe because I'm an outsider, but there's still an opacity to things that a person who is a non-financial person cannot go to one website, central bank website, and get these are the regulations to do this. This is what you need to. It just feels non-transparent. You're talking to people in the industry, and different people are telling you different things, and it's frustrating. So, yeah.
I think I can understand, maybe not necessarily relate from experience because I mean, I'm not running my own business, right? But I can, try to understand and imagine what the feel of those struggles are, especially the financial part of things. I mean, there are even more related finance tax-ish thing coming up recently that, would affect businesses and all that. So there's a lot, on that aspect of things. But you mentioned taking huge risks and all that stuff. Did you have like a major obstacle that you faced at some point that almost made you, give up and say, I'm not doing this anymore? And how did you overcome that?
It's just things not moving, like when you do things seemingly right. Because again, hindsight is 2020. You think you're doing it right, like I'm doing everything. But in business, sometimes, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And especially, I'm not a business entrepreneur, finance person. I'm a doctor. All I know this breathe in, breathe out, mama, no mama. I know that very well. Wake me up in my sleep. But this business thing, I have to crack my brain. Again, I don't know what I don't know. And you have to keep talking to people. But yeah, for instance, our clinic that we launched in 2023 as a physical location, we're looking at closing it down because we have other products that we want to focus on, and the clinic itself is not doing enough. And we're like, do we need it? Because this other thing is really taking a lot of our resources. But I feel like, yeah, the market health that we launched in July, you launch it, you're hoping for numbers. They tell you, oh yeah, come, we love it, we love it. We love it when it comes to sign up. And you're talking to people and you're pushing, you're writing letters, and you're going and meetings on meetings on meetings. And I just like, once people start having 3-4 meetings about one thing, I don't have that time. It's not going to work. Let's not waste each other's time. I'm very, very sensitive about my time and other people's time. So yes, there are times I've thought about it. Like, do I want to just roll back? Because I'm tired. But I mean, I have thought a little bit like, this thing is draining enough. Do I need to keep doing it? Have I specific? I don't think I have gotten to the point of I am quitting this whole thing. I don't think I have gotten to that point yet, but I have gotten the frustrations enough to just be like, damn, this is a lot.
This is hard.
And it's just, yeah, so
I think I can
that I
understand and perfectly relate to that part. I mean, you feel like you're doing everything, putting in all the effort, but the result is just not, you're not getting the kind of result that you hope to get, and that really can affect morale and overall. But let's talk about the flip side of this, right? We talked about the, hardship that made you want to quit. Was there any moment, that highlight moment where you're like, I'm on the right path. I'm doing things right. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. That experience or highlights from your work in your brand, and that just made I want to stay here. I'm on the right path, and I just want to keep pushing.
there's been a bunch of things. I would definitely say. I was telling a friend of mine, like, thankfully, I'm able to, my source of income is not dependent on this business.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me some, I'm the one raising this business like a child or law. So it's
Mm-hmm.
I think that and the support or the way I'm able to support myself, and it's working out so far and will continue to, by God's grace, um, is I think it's something that tells me I feel like it's God saying, yeah, I know this thing is hard, but I'm gonna make this other side easy for you. So just go do that. Just go do that. I'll make sure you're supported and you get enough. I need extra, but at least I'll make sure you get enough to keep yourself afloat. So yeah, I think that part.
That's good to
And
hear.
of course, when you,
Good to hear.
yeah, and of course, the customers, the clients, the people we're
Mm-hmm.
serving, when you get
Mm-hmm.
to people that they give you the feedback, I think that
Mm-hmm.
those are the moments where you're like, it's working, it's nice. I just wish a lot more of you would choose to get this experience because there is value in it. But the ones who have plugged in are like, yeah, we like this, I like this, and I really want to do this with you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So next question on my list, right? Um, how would you say building your brand Iyewo has changed you as a woman, as a leader, and as an entrepreneur?
Uh, Building Iyewo as a person, it honestly has taught me to give myself more grace.
Mhm.
Um, to give myself more grace, to appreciate the small steps and the small wins slash achievements, because I'm coming from medical professional background where everything is laid out for you. You graduate medical school, you are going to residency. You don't even have to, you're done with this year. Yeah, you already starting the next one and your next one. And the thing is, you might think now these days, these guys graduating these days, they are doing photo shoots. I mean, I'm happy for them. They're doing photo shoots on graduating medical school. And I'm just like, okay, okay. But for them, the good thing is many of them are not thinking of going through this laborious residency and whatever. They want to go into industry and do all sorts of things and nice things, which again, I'm happy for them. But coming from a place where we had milestones, huge milestones, where to complete one milestone, you're talking 3, 5 years, blah, blah, blah. And by the time you are a consultant, right? A lot of time has passed, and then you still have to now be saying, yeah, all of these kind of things.
Mhm.
It makes it when you come and you do a business, like you have to learn to celebrate because that big thing that you are waiting for, you will just be depressed and it might never come or it may come in a different way. So you have to, and because it takes a lot that you're putting in. So it's taught me to give myself a lot more grace, to pause and appreciate the wins, be more structured. I personally have ADHD, so I work differently, I blah, blah, and just as much as I like flexibility, I also like structure. So it's kind of like a flexible, structured thing and just being able to structure my life. After doing Iyewo now, for, I don't know, 3-something years and living in it for 1 year where I'm in it every day, I would say, yes, prioritizing rest because I am not in my 20s. So my energy is different. What my body needs is different. And my body feels like it's putting out a lot more than, so it's like, okay, I got to take care of my health. I have to be in my best shape because now I'm like, okay, do I want to just build this business and next 3-5 years I'm like done? Or do I want to build something that lasts? And if I want to build something that lasts, I have to last. So prioritizing my well-being, prioritizing my rest, and putting up structures well enough that protects me and protects my staff. Because again, you don't want to burn out the people that are working for you. You want them to have a good and safe workplace. And that's one thing I'm very, very particular about. Like we've had hires that made other people very uncomfortable. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, but you cannot stay. We've never had this kind of issues before, and you are here. I'm not saying they are perfect, but yeah, this is not the kind of company culture we want. So being sensitive to those kind of things also, and just learning. I think as a doctor, I'm a doctor. I don't need to talk about my work. You ask about it, I tell you all this fancy stuff. But as a business owner, you're like, what do I know? Let me just keep quiet. And my friends just keep saying, no, talk about what you do, talk about what you do. And just talking about it, you'd be more comfortable about talking about it. But again, you meet people randomly, you'll be like, oh, wait, this might work for you, or somebody is doing this, talk to this person, and voila, you're getting more knowledge. So just also being on that, a new lifelong learning journey of learning about business. I swore I wasn't going back to school, but I know I'm going to need to go back to school for an MBA or something of the sorts. And I'm like, shucks. But I was like, well, it's going to happen maybe down the line. Right now, let me even just build a business, right? And then go and do that.
Thank you very much for that. But since we're a little short on time, I just want to reference something you mentioned about if you're going to build a business that lasts and you having to last as well. So talking about building a business that lasts, how do you balance building a sustainable business with making healthcare accessible to everyone? And also, what advice, you can just blend it together, would you give to young women who have businesses and they are struggling to either start or they are at that phase where they are questioning their decisions, their entire life decision, why am I doing this? Maybe I should just quit, stuff like that. That's
I think building a business that lasts, you have to be solving a real problem, right? Because you're selling something in a business, and if people don't need what you're selling, then but of course, the needs also change because someone could have built a business. I remember someone was saying some people built a business on printing recharge cards, right?
yeah.
Remember those MTN, that yellow card that,
Yeah.
it looked like a business card, and somebody's business was built on that. So based on the market realities, there was no way that business would have lasted. But that person could also have pivoted into something else. So again, you have to build what is needed and solve a problem and serve people in a way that they need, all this market in the gap and gap in the market things. Building a business that lasts, also structure. Structure is very, very important. wherein if you remove yourself, it'll run. How long it will run? Like if I remove myself from my business, yeah, I believe it will run. It would have hiccups. It may grind to a halt maybe after a year or something. Like if money was but at least it would run somewhat. So now I need to really make it run for. So structure that makes sure that when you are not there, when you are silent, you are unheard, you are unseen, you are doing nothing, the business is running. I think that's very, very important. And that's something that a lot of us around here need to learn and not hold on to things. I am ready to let go of the reins. Structure, solving problems. And I think you, as the builder, especially for people who are visionaries, because in a way, people who are innovators and visionaries are central, will remain central, because it's like a seed, and when they say something, God gave you that vision, and you just need maybe executors and builders. Of course, again, knowing that the vision is the vision, but the adjoining view, the vantage view that takes a business from -1 to 0, which is usually idea, and takes it from 0 to 1, then 1 to 10 is different. The overarching vision is always there. I want to build a big hospital. I'm talking about, but the day I decide, oh, I'm putting a business plan, I'm laying the first brick. What you needed when it was an idea to when you lay the first brick is different from when you lay the first brick to when you build a one-story building hospital. And taking it from a one-story building to a multi-story building, or a multi-story building to branches, they are different. And founders need to realize that yes, but there are people who take that vision of yours and look around also, because many times we are in love with our vision, we're in love with our solution. And you need people to step back or take you out of it and look around and get a 360-degree view to say somebody's doing this, or this has failed, or this is how do we, so I think that would be the last thing is the founder needs to, the visionary, needs to be well, and they need to last. They need to be in a good position, but they also need to surround themselves with better people.
Thank you very much for that. And I mean, this was an insightful session, really, because I'm also learning things from here. I mean, if I do want to start something myself in the future, I've taken notes, definitely. Thank you very much. That was the last question on my list, and it was really nice having you join me today. Really appreciate your time here today. And I hope it was good for you as well. I mean, you had enjoyed the session as well.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to stop the recording now.